and after?
Yeah. 2 calls. 3 runners.
Check.
You 2 check. 5 bets, 5 cards. 6 calls. Five raise, 100,000.
Alright, let's gamble. I'm all in.
C2's all in.
Good luck.
He's got Queen 10.
Isn't that a hit here?
Yeah. Technic. Oh, fuck, it's close.
10, 9, 8 diamond.
It is close. Yeah, it is close.
Wow, that's a bad turn.
That's
the worst turn of the day. That's a shit turn.
That's a
That's
pretty
the
bad
worst turn of the
turn.
day.
GG.
GG, guys. Okay, that was fun.
If you didn't want to be on stream that badly.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Anyway.
See you later.
Took me a while to figure out why is he calling. I was like, oh, he's got diamonds too. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was like, oh, right, diamonds.
Had too much going on.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Once you got that menu, it was with some kind of draw.
Always missing.
What was his name? Chris.
Sit open, feature 2.
Technically, you're correct, sir. I would call that just sometimes.
You know, I know he's got a combo draw, but I'm prepared to gamble with him because I know I'm in front.
Then small blind.
You block, yeah.
Four fold. Up.
Check.
3 checks. Five bets, 3,000, C3 fold.
I suppose they'll post the link in 15 or so minutes. It's quiet up here. You can't really hear the music.
What music?
Music down there.
I'm listening. Oh, you got shit music. 2.5.
1 raise, 2.5.
Yeah, we can't really do a raise though.
She doesn't.
Sure we can.
Yep.
Angle.
Alright, fold. 4 fold.
Button is good.
He didn't want it, did he?
I had a hand that
I would usually call it a big blind winner.
But then you remembered you're on stream. You're like, oh,
I remember-
wait a
and then-
minute.
and then I accidentally did this.
Yeah,
I was
and you're like, oh,
"Ah,
now that gives
shit."
away all my hand strength.
Yeah. It's alright, it's only 7-2. 7-2 suited.
Ah, extra 2% equity.
Big blind, please. 1200. And small blind, please.
Button good.
Thank you.
As we welcome back everybody to our coverage of the Eatons Hill series here in Brisbane for the Australian Poker Tour, back where it all began here at Eatons Hill. It's an amazing venue to play, and we've brought you some pretty incredible coverage over the last couple of days. Naj taking out that Goliath for 65,000. We also brought you a winner. We were heads up for hours, it felt like, and Cooper Felton took down the 1650 feature bounty tournament. It was heads up with the men for what felt like an eternity, but it ended up taking out the trophy there for his second APT title. But if you were tuning in last night, you would have seen we put on the Empress, which was the ladies only event. And we did have a few familiar faces on that table, and one of them joins me now. Would like to welcome in APT Ambassador Shelley Pooley. Welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. We will get in. You didn't get much going last night, but we will get into like a couple of hands that I can remember. Did you end up rebuying after you busted, or did you just call it a day?
Well, that was actually already my second bullet.
Ah, okay. Sorry, I wasn't aware of that.
I was down to 10k like 15 minutes before we were going to go on the stream, and I'd made the decision that I really didn't want to jump on stream with 10k.
Yeah, that's very fair.
So we got it in with King 6 suited.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable enough. So we're bringing you just a level or two, might bring you 3 levels tonight, and give everyone a bit of a preview of the grind. If you do want to play, late registration actually opened for the grind till 2:45 tomorrow. Off the top of my head, mega late reg might be about 15 bigs, so you can register from now anytime until 2:45 tomorrow. Shelley, will you be getting in the mix?
I will, yeah. I'm going to sit and watch for a little bit, and then I'm going to
Push me off
go
that
down
easy.
and
I'm
get
like,
stuck
what
in
sort of
there.
age do you have?
Sounds
Come
good.
on.
So we've got a few familiar faces here. Ray in seat 3. He's not in seat 3, he's in seat 4. So
Yeah,
we might have to adjust the graphics a little bit. Corey van Jaarsveld, he has already won a trophy this
Not a very
week,
good board to see
multiple
there to be calling
APT
out a
trophy
big
winner.
blind anyway.
But seat 4, probably the most notable in our table is Ray Wang, who has won the APT main event and mini main event. Pretty amazing feat, and also came second in the APL Millions main event a couple of years ago. So I'm pretty used to seeing him play, and a few others. Saw Michael had actually won the mixed game over at Empire last night at about 2 a.m. So he's back on the horse here, and he's in the mix here with the Ace-3 suited. So, Shelley, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. First and foremost, I see you posting a lot of stuff and a lot of content online for the APT. You are an APT ambassador. Let's have a chat about how all of that came about. And I might just interject in the middle before you start saying that, because we've got a lot of interaction here. Darren with top pair and Michael with the nut flush draw. So I might just pause you for
Yeah, go
till
for
the
it.
end
This
of
is
the
exciting.
hand.
This is very exciting.
Let's see what Michael comes with. Won a tournament less than 24 hours ago. And Darren can't go anywhere as yet. Queen of Spades would be a diabolical card, but we won't do that to him. as this one could check through. No, Michael has other ideas. Oh, Michelle, sorry. There we go. You can just tell me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but it is Michelle. There's no A in that name, and I should know that. But I think it's working with 3 start stacks here already with 240k. Now, I wanted to chat to you about your ambassadorship here at APT. Chat to us about how all of that's come about.
Yeah, sure. It was, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I stopped working and decided to give poker a go full time. And then going into the beginning of last year, I'd set myself a bit of a goal that I'd really love to be an ambassador for a brand. Because I love talking about poker. I love watching poker, supporting poker. I really love supporting women in poker, especially. And then, a friend of mine had mentioned me to Tony. I think Tony was looking for ambassadors. I think he was looking for people to prove themselves. And at that time, I'd only really got sort of results at APL. And literally 2 days after that conversation, I actually won the Beast.
No way.
Yeah.
There you go. You called it in. You were on stream last night, and I was going through. You have quite the impressive resume. I didn't realise you'd won that many tournaments. I knew the mystery bounty was your biggest score, but I was looking to see if you had an APT title, and that was the one that came up. Do you remember how much you won that for?
I think it was 12 or 16.
Okay,
12 or 16,
we'll be able
one
to
of those,
find that out. So, after winning the Beast, obviously had a chat to Tony and realised it was a good idea for yourself to come on board with APT.
Yeah, and it's been absolutely awesome. Like it's really, really cool supporting the brand. I absolutely love posting all the stories and getting involved, and it's just a really, really good time.
You do a really good job on social media. Very active in posting, a lot of engagement. Saw you in the mix last night in the $250 buy-in. You're probably pretty comfortable now at the 1K level, do you think? I know everyone's always working on their game, but are you comfortable now at the 1,500, maybe even 2.5K level of buy-in now you've been playing for a few years?
I would say the $1,500 mark I'm comfortable at. It can really come down to table draw, because I played the main event last night after I got knocked out of the Empress, and I could not believe the table draw I ended up with. I don't know if anyone saw that. I had Kenta,
Yeah.
I had Nash, I had CVJ, I had Martin Ward, and a couple of other people on the table off the top of my head, and it was an aggressive table.
Yeah, wow.
So you could actually sit down in a 2.5K or a 1,500 and have quite a fortunate table draw, but you can still sit down in a 600, a 350, even sometimes a 200, and just look at the table and it's full of beasts.
What got you, I can see your first recorded cash is 2015, 2016. What got you interested in poker to begin with? We're talking years before you've started to come on board here at APT, but what was the initial interest that piqued your interest in poker?
Probably bluffing, actually. I'd gone to just like a pub game and saw this really cool looking chick bluffing these guys, and I was like, oh, that looks absolutely awesome. And then when I actually started playing, I have a really, really active brain, probably undiagnosed ADHD, I reckon a lot of poker players have.
I would even think that a lot is an understatement.
Yeah.
Everyone in this room probably has some form of it. There's no doubt
likely.
about it.
But I actually found it like a form of meditation.
Yep.
It's the one thing that I can do where my brain switches off and I'm fully focused just on that. I could have had anything happen outside of that table, and as soon as I sit down I forget about it and purely just focus, and it's such a relief from such an active brain.
I reckon that answer is going to be pretty common if I'd asked everyone in the room something like that. Is there anything in particular that you can remember that first got you like, for example, I'm just thinking of my personal experience. I started playing home games at my cricket club. I'd never played before. Mid-20s, cricket club had a home game. I went and played. Is there any, and I've always been able to remember that, is there any inflection point in time where you sat down at a table and thought, you know what, I'm going to actually maybe give this a crack, or this is at the very least interesting to start explore how No Limit Hold'em works? Can you remember a point in time where that happened?
Ooh, so as in, like, when I first thought this game's amazing, or when I first thought I really want to play this sort of full time?
No, the very first time, I think, what piqued your interest, I know.
Yeah, it was a pub back in the UK. So I'm originally from the UK. I moved over here like 11 years ago.
5,000.
There's a pub in the UK called the Imperial.
Okay.
Three folds.
It might even be a strippers now, to be honest.
We'll move on from that.
But yeah, it was like £5 to play,
Oh, wow.
and it was me and a bunch of like super old dudes, like really old. And it was great. Like, I realized that at that point that I could start sort of, sweet talking people into folding and things like that against me. Can't really do that anymore.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past you, I don't think.
Doesn't work.
Moving forward 5 or 6 years down the timeline, what was that point in time where you wanted to take things more seriously and even start to focus on poker becoming a form of employment and taking it up more seriously? What was that inflection point in time that you can remember where you said you're going to give it a real red hot crack?
It's probably
Three.
actually after I met Adam, my boyfriend who also plays, because he had played full time for a really long time, mainly cash and online. And when we got together, we started playing heads up a lot.
Wow, how does that go? Well, actually, I'll come back to that, but
He just improved my game so much. Playing heads up actually improved my game so much. Like, if anyone has the opportunity, has someone that they can play heads up with for hours, it's so good. You get to see so many hands, and you actually rarely get heads up experience.
No, it's actually something that I remember talking to Didier about, and he made a point that, all of the money is up top in a tournament, obviously, and people put so much work into their game, in full ring, because that is what we're doing most of the time. But no tournament players put work into their heads-up game, and that's where all the money is. And when he said that, it kind of turned a bit of a light bulb, and you kind of think, well, he's right. All of the money is up top, and there's such a big gap between second and first, but no one ever practices their heads-up game. So it's probably an advantage that you've got there. That was maybe the reason you told me off stream you won 10 trophies last year. We might be realising why.
I mean, I also think I'm an incredibly lucky player. Like, I've never lied about that. Like, I feel like I've definitely gone on some sun runs. But the other thing that Adam really taught me as well, which changed my game, was I used to run a lot of zero equity bluffs.
Okay. It's usually not going to end well in the long run.
It's not. So I have reduced, I'm not going to say eliminated, but I've definitely reduced my zero equity bluffs.
Yes, we have an all-in call here as Ray Wang flops bottom pair, and Rob turned some equity to continue the hand, but he's turned Ray dead, and Ray's going to be looking for one of the last 2 5s in the deck. That is an unfortunate turn there for Ray. Multiple APT trophy winner, as the man in C2 might have. And so it was button versus big blind, 10-4 suited versus 5-4 suited. Now, you mentioned that you've removed or nearly removed the no equity bluffs out of your game, and you also mentioned that you think you're on the luckier side. Now, you did tell me off stream that your biggest score, you'd actually spun that up from how many bigs? 3 bigs?
I had, so it was the Mystery Bounty WPT, I had 6 bigs left when we had 3 tables.
So 3 tables left and 6 big blinds. And how much did you turn that into?
2.5.
All the chips.
All the chips
And 80K.
That's unbelievable. Did you peel off a large bounty, or most of that prize was what was in the prize pool for outside of the bounties?
It was mainly what was in the prize pool, but what was absolutely crazy is when we had 5 players left, the $63,000 bounty was still in play.
Oh my god.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, that is disgusting. Chips would have been flying. Was Tom Maguire the beneficiary of the big bounty?
He was. I picked the bounty on either side.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sick. Could have had a 100k score, but
No, but honestly, like, I just felt so blessed to have got that result
Yeah.
after where I'd been. But aces 3 times on the FT will definitely help.
that is incredible. Now, I think you were hard done by on yourself there when you mentioned what you won for the Beast. It was, you said 16 or 12. It was actually more than both of that. You won 16,500 in the Beast at the Gold Coast. And I also noticed a $44,000 score in the Jackstar. Do you have a good recollection of that tournament at all?
That was at Albury. Actually, that's a great story behind that, because that was kind of before I'd started playing any real tournaments of that size, and I was not going to play the Jackstar, but my friend Amy said she'd buy some action, and then I put a post on Facebook, which I had not done before, selling action, and I sold 50% really quickly.
Of course.
And
Yes.
then ended up getting that result, and it was funny. I reckon I had maybe 10 to 15 people message me after saying, "Oh, I was going to buy action."
Oh no. So I'm looking. Is this a 4-way chop?
It was a 4-way chop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Goodness me.
Yeah, I think if I was in that situation now, I might not have done that deal, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of money for me at that. It still is, obviously, but I was very, very nervous, and especially because it was my first time selling action like
Yeah.
that. I kind of just really wanted to make the backers money
Yeah.
and lock it in.
It is a big step to make when you're managing a lot of money sent from other people. You can have, if you put a message out, there are times when you can have 20 people message, and if they take a couple % each, it can be a bit stressful, but obviously that is something that is prevalent and very common in the poker community. You did mention you do have a partner that plays quite regularly as well, and I actually always talk about, me and Jared Thatcher today, for example, talked at length about how he manages playing so frequently with his wife at home, and how the effect poker can have on relationships. How do you guys go? You're probably on the other end where you both play a lot. I think that is pretty rare. I think either maybe a partner would be at home or doesn't have as much interest in poker or gambling or anything like that. I think you'd be one of the rare ones that are, like a genuine poker couple. So how does that, just talk us through how that's gone over the last couple of years. I'm not sure how long you've been together, but just talk about the dynamic that has.
Yeah, sure. We've been together for 2.5 years, and prior to meeting Adam, I actually had told myself that I'd never date a poker player.
And I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah, I said I'd never date a poker player, and then I met Adam, and that was a really beautiful story. Actually, we met online, and we were living together after 3 weeks of knowing each other. It was very, very fast.
Goodness.
Yeah. We lived in different states and just didn't want to be apart. So
When you know, hey?
yeah, we just knew. And
Yeah.
as far as poker goes, it's just the best. Like it's so refreshing, like being able to come home. You came second, and you got your tail between your legs, and the other person just gets it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you still got money in your pocket, but I know prior, you come home with money and say, I came second, and the other person doesn't really get it.
No. I think I shouldn't say people in the regular world, but poker is an entity of its own. But I can think of times where, for example, I've come second and my mum will be like, and you're devastated, and my mum will just say, "What are you talking about? you just won $15,000. I'm like, you don't get it. You just don't get it. And I think that would be the same for any other friends and family that you have. It would be the same for most partners of people that play as well. So that is good that you're able to come home and someone actually genuinely understands. You know, you might have had a rough day, copped, you know, a really bad beat. But I have found, like, that's a really good point, because you can be so devastated when you come between second and fifth, even though you may have won a lot of money. It's good for the other to...
This is interesting.
Very rare, Kings v Kings.
I'd love to see this.
This will be going in. Alex working with less than 30 bigs. And...
Do we want to see carnage? Do we want to see a 4-card flush?
Well, that's how he burst the bubble in the Goliath. I don't want to bring that up again for Liam Murray, but he got it in Ace-Jack offsuit versus Ace-Jack offsuit, and was just another victim of Naj's rampaging Goliath win. So we have had it, but this one will be going in. He's just decided to call here.
I thought he might. That's awesome. I like this. I like this a lot. Maybe he's priced Ray in as well. Is he going to set mine? Yeah.
Can't fold. Well, I know Ray wouldn't be folding anyway, but he's not a man that comes to fold.
Ace 5, 2. I couldn't be further off.
As at some point the chips will be going in. SPR is less than 1. As Alex just decides to jam. Interesting, and we'll be chopping this one up 100% of the time.
Oh, thanks, Ray. Appreciate that, bud. Well, we get to
they
chop up
will
your money.
chop up Ray's money, so they won't come out empty-handed.
Yeah, nice.
And have we had any success this week? I know we had no luck on the Empress feature table.
It's been a shocker.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's, I've had a lot of 80-20s not going favourably. I have ran a couple of bluffs into the nuts.
Not no equity bluffs or some equity bluffs?
No equity. Not no equity. I 4-bet jammed King 10 suited straight into Krilly's aces. I think I did very similar to Cooper. Maybe I should stop believing these guys.
It's unfair when players of that caliber just have it right. They shouldn't be allowed to be dealt aces.
I know. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with how I'm playing. I've probably ran maybe 2 bluffs that I didn't need to off of a big stack.
Yep.
But I really like to go for the monster stack. Yeah, just didn't work in my favour.
Well, 20% of the time you will win with King 10 suited, so it's a good hand to 4-bet jam. You should keep doing it. I
think it's the right person to do it against.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's just unfair when they have it. Players like Cooper and Krilly. Cooper, of course, taking out our coverage today of the feature bounty tournament for $18,000.
Or as Didier called him, Coop Dog.
Coop Dog, yes. No, I've seen that doing the rounds online.
That's very good.
I think he came onto stream in the Goliath with gold chains that would have envied 50 Cent or some other rapper. I'm not up to date with hip hop, but it was a pretty incredible sight. No chains today for Cooper. It was all business, and he took that one down for 18,000. And the other person you mentioned there was Lachlan Krilly. Came second in the Hashem D stack for 15 or 16k, can't exactly be sure there. And if you are interested, you might not notice Krilly walking through the room today, but he does have a bald head. Those big mane's gone, and if you're interested in donating to his fundraiser for the world's greatest shave, over $15,000 raised of Krilly's target of 2k, so pretty incredible.
Unreal.
Really unreal, and he's just such a great person, Krilly, so it doesn't surprise us. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on, we've only got you for another half an hour. I'm really glad that you can give your time up even when the grind is on, but I can see your drink bottle here on the table, and that says the word variance on it. I'm led to believe that's a brand that you've started. Is there something you want to tell us about, and what was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, honestly, I just get pretty bored in life sometimes
3,000.
and love starting little side quests. I've done some really random side quests. I write a lot of poetry. I've done axe throwing. On a netball team, I did corporate fighter last year, like doing boxing. And
Goodness.
why not start a clothing brand?
Why not?
'Cause why not?
Tell us more about it. From my eye, it looks like you've chosen really high quality stuff. And so just have a talk about why you wanted to bring a poker brand into the community. I can't imagine that it would be easy, so maybe just have a bit of a talk about how and why you wanted to start the business.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not easy because, as we all know, like the poker world can be sometimes quite a judgmental place. And I have, over commented how expensive the stuff is. But before I launched it, I actually did like a lot of like questionnaires and stuff with poker players that I look up to, and the ones I would really love to see wearing the brand. And the overall feedback was, we'd rather spend a little bit more and have high quality. And so that's what I decided to go with. And just wanted something sleek, simple, breathable, looks good, feels good, that sort of thing. And also wanted to create a line that was for women as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't envy you because you're selling a product to an industry where people don't tend to part with their money quite easily unless it's a buy-in for a tournament. Like, I know guys that I've watched them with my own eyes lose 100k on Baccarat, but don't want to use the ATM for the $2. The star has a $3 fee at their ATM, so we've got to walk across the road to Broadbeach, so we don't have to pay the fee. These are the type of people that you've chosen to sell to. So I don't envy you, but it really does look like high quality stuff.
It is, but it has definitely been tough. Like, it has really been tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. But it is what it is, and it's something that I gave a crack, and I'm proud of myself for giving it a crack. But it is so funny talking about the price of things, because I'm exactly the same. Like, do you know what I hate spending money on more than anything? I hate spending the 25 cents on the paper bag at the supermarket. It's 25 cents, but it's because I'm like, I have 30 of these in the cupboard at home, and I just always forget to bring them.
Yeah, okay, that is fair. I did this today myself. I went on our break before we started coverage here. Just going to go out to dinner with Johan and Cooper, but they were in the pub side, and I go to, and they had just started. It just ticked over 8 o'clock, and they just started doing the cover charge, so it was $10 to enter the pub, and I'm like, there's just no way. I'm coming to get a Palmer. There is no way I'm going to pay you $10 so I can spend an extra 25 on a Palmer. So across the road to Grills I went. So I'm usually not like that. That stuff doesn't bother me, but I'm like, I can't justify paying a 30% tax on the $10 cover charge. Of course, on Friday nights, Eaton Hill does turn into a nightclub, but couldn't justify the $10 entry there.
No,
Not sure it's the 25-cent bag is interesting. I live across. Me and my partner live across the road from a Coles, and we have bags. And I just never take them across the road. And it's a 50-meter walk. I still don't do it, and I still go and pay the bag. So it probably is a waste of money.
Same.
There's Michael Kalin here with Pocket Eights, facing the 3-bet from Alex out of the small with 7-6 suited, mixing it up.
I've just seen a Poker Pulse saying hi in the chat. Just wanted to say I was actually on their podcast last week.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it was
okay.
a really, really fun episode if anyone wants to check it out.
Yeah.
Poker Pulse podcast. And
They're on.
Lachlan Crilly was on there a couple of weeks ago as well.
Yeah, saw fellow Melburnian there, Josh Foster and Daniel Desmond were on an episode recently
The
too.
Croc.
The Croc, I saw him on there as well. Funny you bring that up. The co-host of the podcast is on this table right now dealing, Catherine Young. I told Catherine someone noticed her on YouTube from the podcast. It's a complete random that I had a name that I didn't recognise or Catherine didn't recognise, and I told her that she got recognised on the table from the podcast, and I could have given her a block of gold. It was like I gave her a block of gold. She was so happy. But how did you find that experience with Craig, Troy, and Catherine on that podcast?
It was so much fun. I like doing my social stuff, you know, by myself, but that was the first sort of thing like that I'd done, you know, like publicly. Just like, this is my first time doing commentary as well, and it's very nerve-wracking.
Don't be nervous, don't worry.
Can you pass one of them up,
But
please?
they were amazing.
Bit of
We
everything.
feel so comfortable, and I mean, Kat's one of my best friends, so it was just like having a laugh with mates.
Yeah.
And I could not believe that they'd got Adam on the show without me knowing.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they did like this perfect pairs segment where they'd interviewed Adam and asked him all these questions about me to see how
that's
much he
great.
knew me. And
How did the results look there?
it was a 100%.
You're kidding.
Nah, I got it, but it was crazy because it wasn't just the same answer. He actually like answered in the same way.
Yeah.
You know, for example, they're like, you know, what would you rate Shelley's cooking out of 10? And I said, I really don't think that on, you know, on podcast that he would give me anything less than a 10. And then he answered, yeah, she'd get pretty angry at me if I answered anything less than a 10.
Oh,
Do you know what I
that's
mean?
unreal.
Like it was exactly the same.
Starting to see why you moved in with each other after 3 weeks.
No, we're really, really compatible. And do you know what? I just love talking about poker with him. Like we, at home, you know, all we do is watch it, play it, talk about it, and just going off of what you were saying before about, you know, being with someone who plays poker, just being able to break down hands when you get home is the best. And he's honest with me, and sometimes I hate it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I absolutely hate it.
You know, deep down, it's good for you in the long run, right?
Yeah. Oh, Ray's got aces. Sometimes I just get a deck of cards out at home and pick up 2 aces and peel them.
I think I've done that myself, actually. Funny you brought that up. But before we move on, do check out the Poker Pulse podcast. It is probably all we have in Australia for that type of content, really. And you can find them on YouTube and Facebook. Craig Abernathy does a great job there, and it's pretty hard to get good content in poker, especially, you know, Australian-specific stuff. So glad you had a good time
Yeah, it was really good.
on there. You mentioned to me that I'm a little bit in shock. I could never pick it up in your accent at all, but you're from England? Or you've been here for 11 years. I can't sense that in your accent whatsoever, or maybe I'm hearing
It's just
things.
some
Do you get that?
words. There's just some words that I say that still sound British.
I think that was just one then, the word British.
Oh, British?
I think it was, yeah.
Anything with O's, like portfolio or
Oh, okay.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys say vitamin over here,
Vitamin,
but I say vitamin.
vitamin. Ah,
And
okay.
I say yogurt.
Yogurt. Okay.
Yogurt.
All right. None of those words have come up on stream, but I think now I can hear it. But what brought you over here? So you're born and raised in England?
Yeah. So to be completely honest, I was a bit of a naughty kid
Okay.
and a bit of a naughty teenager, and didn't end up involved with the best people growing up, and you know, we didn't have a bunch growing up, and I was in a lot of debt from pretty early. I dropped out of school.
Okay.
I moved into a place by myself when I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just started. I just always kind of was interested in a hustle, you know, a hustle. And I tried like moving towns back home in the UK, but I still always ended up in with the wrong crowd. And
What were you? My geography wouldn't be great in the country, but like were you closer to a big capital city, or were you out, you know, a little bit more in the countryside? Or
2 hours southeast of London,
Okay.
in a place called Hastings,
Is that
where
near-
the Battle of 1066 was. I don't know
1066
if-
Battle of Hastings.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
No.
And then
It's the one thing everyone remembers from history class in Australia, I think.
One of my mates had just come back and said, "Oh, you should just go do a year there." And I just thought, well, I don't have anything to lose. So I came over. I actually took out one of those payday loans.
Do a year
Came
up here,
over-
you mean?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Came over with $600.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and got a job within my first 24 hours of being over here selling funeral insurance. And I got to talk about death all day. I ended up coming up with, funny death lines like, I've got a prize for you to die for and stuff like that.
Goodness me. How have you walked in to a job like that within a day of being in the country? How does that happen?
I just, I knew someone that worked there. They said they'd give me an interview and, rocked up and they're like, you start tomorrow. There's not many people that want to sell funeral insurance, so
No.
it wasn't a tough job to get. And then I moved into IT sales and managed to get sponsorship. And it was a lot easier back then than it is now.
Yeah, it's very difficult now. I've had a couple of mates actually go through it, and it just feels like businesses really don't want to take that burden on of sponsoring people, no matter how good they are at their job. So they just end up going back to England. So,
It feels pretty good. Like I paid off all my debt.
yeah.
And I'm really happy with the life that I created for myself.
Where have you settled in? Where are you from here?
We actually just moved from Sydney about 6 months ago up to the Gold Coast, so we're in Surfers.
Oh, you're in Surfers.
Yeah.
That is
Wild.
That is wild. I actually came up here for the winter last year and lived in Surfers for the winter, and I felt like the idea. You might love it, but there's a bit too much hustle for me, I think, and I was right in the middle. I was in Q1 for the winter, and I think that. Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that, actually. I thought, but you did say, you've always wanted to be part of some type of grind and hustle, and probably being in the middle of Surfers, you're probably in the most perfect place, right?
Well, it was actually also a matter of, this is an interesting flow.
It is. Michael with top pair, Michelle with a flush draw. Ray will be getting out of the way. What about the Queen of Diamonds?
Yeah, I was thinking the Queen of Diamonds. Both a couple of sickos there.
As Michelle takes the
What
lead.
an interesting turn.
Yeah,
Michael turns a flush draw as well.
and he's not going to be
A
going
straight
anywhere.
flush draw.
You might notice our skin here actually takes into account the folded cards, so it'll be 9 outs once for Michael. They don't come in.
I do see Michael get unlucky a lot.
Yeah, okay. I think that, Michelle's probably going to want to. Took the words out of my mouth. The SBR is less than 1. Hard hand to not jam. And if Michael heroes Michelle off here, it is the end of his grind.
I feel like he's going to find a fall.
I've got, I think, $1.50. I reckon he'll fold this one in. Yeah, and he does, as Michelle approaching in on 300k.
I remember he folded Queens against me in the Beast. And
Correctly.
not correctly,
But
but
correctly for the time.
Yeah. Like,
You're in a spot that no one else in the room would have ever folded, but
Yeah.
somehow found a fold against you.
yeah, and
Right?
ended up flopping the nuts. So it was just like, I had ace queen suited, so he had me absolutely dominated. And then I just, flopped the nuts. And he folded free.
Just want to touch back on your move up from Sydney to
yeah.
Surfers. What was the reason for that? Because, being in the Gold Coast, there's no shortage of poker. There's a series on, it feels like, every couple of weeks in Queensland. Was that the main driver, or you just wanted to be part more of the hustle of Surfers Paradise?
A little bit of everything, really. I really feel the cold. I struggle with the cold, and so I wanted a bit of a warmer climate.
You're from England. How does that work?
But I get sick every time I go home. I cannot
wow.
deal with the cold at all. Just kind of wanted to, I'd been in Sydney for quite a long time, and I get quite restless, so I just wanted to
I couldn't tell.
shake things up. Just wanted to shake things up a bit. And interestingly, so we made the move with, it was. I wasn't going to be viewing anywhere. I was just trying to get us a place to move to, and obviously as poker players, you don't have pay slips, so it's very, very difficult to find a rental.
It's basically impossible.
Yeah. So,
Very difficult is an understatement.
I got really lucky. I found someone through a poker player.
Yeah.
And we just took the place without even viewing it. So I'd just seen pictures.
Yeah.
And we moved, up the country and arrived into this place that I'd never even seen.
That doesn't sound like you.
It was, I like to live on the edge. It was crazy actually because 2 weeks before we moved, Adam broke his rib go-karting.
Oh my goodness.
Brutal timing. I've actually never seen anyone in pain like that ever. It was horrendous.
I've broken my rib playing footy, and I can't. It's one of those injuries where you don't realise how much you're moving your ribs day to day. Like you can't move. I remember just lying on the couch for weeks until you could even breathing hurts. It's a shocking injury to have, but you don't realise it because people don't break ribs that often, especially if they're not playing sport. You don't realise how important that is until you do that type of injury. So I can feel his pain there, and especially before moving, not ideal.
Yeah, I felt really bad because I did that typical, he was saying it hurt and stuff, and I was like, oh, don't worry, it's fine. It's fine.
It ain't fine.
And we went to the hospital and, it was not fine.
Made your way up, found a rental, and it is difficult.
Cool.
It's
Rebate.
those type of things people don't speak about commonly within the industry, but getting home loans and rental applications, even loans for a car or whatnot, all that stuff is really, really difficult to come by. So you got lucky there.
Yeah, you basically need to, I'm not saying that I am, but in order to do those things, you need to have a lot of cash.
Yeah, basically. It's just to buy it outright,
Yeah.
Or pay
Which-
12 months in advance or whatnot.
Which it is hard to have.
Yeah.
A lot of us poker players, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is tough out there. Everyone's getting so much better every day. And so just touching on that, I know playing with your partner, heads up, really improved your game. But I asked the same question of Jared, and I had Liam Jihu on yesterday as well and asked him the same question. Their preferred method of content or learning to keep your game sharp. Is there anything that you've done that you think has really improved your game outside of coming out and talking with your partner, but talking courses, YouTube, books, things like that? What's your preferred method of studying and improving on your game?
I'd probably say 3 things. I play definitely more of an exploitative style, but I did get a GTO Wizard and started actually studying spots, and that definitely helped. That was the first one. The second
Opens your
one,
eyes, doesn't it?
It really does. I was like, oh, I've been overplaying this hand a lot. Ace Jack and Ace 10, my goodness, I've overplayed those hands a lot. And also, if you are playing online, you can actually export hands out of whatever you're playing online, import it into GTO Wizard, and it will show you if you're making plus EV or negative EV plays as well, which was cool. And I was like, oh look, all my negative EV plays are on the button and in small blind.
Yeah.
The next thing would be I actually was doing some coaching, so only small balls, so people that are moving from sort of pub games up into that $250 mark, and actually having to put together sessions and break hands down. That helped me a lot. But one of the biggest things, I think I heard Liam say a very similar answer, is YouTube. There's you've got In the Mind of a Pro.
That's my favourite series,
It's
actually.
unreal. It's unreal.
It's pretty amazing that, Winamax could put something like that together with the best players in the world explaining their exact thought process through every decision, over 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually posed the question to Liam Jehu that, do you think if you're just starting from day one, could you become a profitable player just off YouTube videos? And he was a resounding yes. Do you reckon you would agree
100%.
with that?
And I wish that I would have just put the time in my earlier days and watched some of the content that's out there. Like, it's absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
Hearing, in my opinion, the GOAT, Adrian Mateos, break hands down.
I've just been watching that. Like, I mean, it's amazing they caught his World Series run on camera.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the AI-generated voice. I don't think I like that one, but there are a few that Adrian's got there online through Winamax, which is pretty incredible. Other than that, Charlie, I want to touch on the fact you mentioned talking through spots with other players that are moving from pub games. Maybe you're playing a pub game through to maybe, say for example, you go from a pub game to the $250 Empress, right? Talking spots through those players, how much does it actually help you? Because you find when you're thinking about hands, sometimes the information stays with you more if you're actually speaking it and talking out loud to other people. So just that little foray into coaching, how much has that really improved your game?
Massively.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I kind of need to practice what I preach as well.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're coaching, the student that you're coaching, they're coming to you with spots that they're in, and they might not necessarily be spots that you've been in yourself. So you're then having to break that down and think about what you would do in that spot and what you think is the most profitable thing to do.
Yeah. Do you find, what's the best way do you think that, I mean, it's different for everybody. I know someone like Liam can't sit down and go through 100 hands-on dutos per day. You mentioned everyone in the room probably has some form of ADHD. What do you think is the best information retention that has worked for you when you're learning more about the game?
As in, which way?
Yeah, which way is the best way you think you learn? Is it actually just, Playing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
That's actually a really good answer. Yeah.
Yeah, playing. And it's basically...
32.
The thing that improves your game the most is pain.
33.
I know that sounds crazy, but the pain of making that mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't mind losing if I've got unlucky.
Yeah.
But if I've made a wrong read or made a really dumb play, then that's what I get annoyed at. I don't mind going out with a bluff.
Right.
But yeah, when I made that bad play, it can be devastating. The biggest mistake I ever made, and I cried after this. It was like the final
Yeah,
table.
my amazing play, obviously.
So this is at the point where I'm just playing like
Well, I'll take
$50
all your
games
chips. You
Yeah.
fine.
Don't worry, they'll carry
And we
you
have
out.
2 tables left, and
carry you
the
out
2
if
chip
you
leaders are on my table. I'm one of the chip leaders.
All right.
The other guy's got me covered by a little bit. And I flopped top set. Oh, God, it hurts just talking about it.
That's the one
There
you
was
use
2
phone
clubs
step
on the
away,
flop,
Yes.
and I knew he was chasing a flush draw because it kind of picked up like he'd call really fast when he
You
had
could
flush draws.
imagine.
And I told myself,
Straight
okay, I
good.
just need to not see a club on the river. And the river came, and I jammed on him, and he snapped called. I thought the river was a spade. I misread it, and it was a club.
Is that okay on stream?
That is a lot of
Is that
pain.
actually-
What was
that
the,
actually
what, so
okay?
what was the
Really?
in what tournament was that? Were you playing for a seat or?
Yeah, so we had like maybe 14 or 15 left, and the top 9 got a 10k Vegas package.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
I can feel your pain from here.
Yeah, and do you know what? The following weekend, it was the NPL. I'd
Yep.
won a $165 ticket into the NPL Invitational. I still think to this day that was the best game of poker I've ever played, and I won.
Yeah.
I remember folding queens pre correctly, which at that stage of my game was unheard of for me. And yeah, I went on to win, and that was my biggest score, so I think I won just over 10k.
There you go. And look what you've been able to roll that into
Yeah.
$300,000 AUD in lifetime earnings, all earned over basically the last 12 months.
Where is that money?
Yeah, you do think that. You do think that.
Where is that money?
I mean, it's
was very
a
good.
pretty incredible
Bring the
record to
button back.
have. You know, all of that cash really earned
Yeah, that's
in
I
the
said button
last
good, and you're
probably
like,
18
oh, yeah, cool.
months, 300k,
Like, thanks.
295 USD, and that is funny you bring that up because I had
Yeah, I know.
the final 5 of the Goliath last night, and I just did a quick. Actually, it's right here. The total cashes of the final 5,
Right.
and it was 10.5 million AUD. So Naj and Toby taking up a lot of that, but it was 6.5 million USD, and then obviously that's around 10.5 million AUD. But
I always do wonder how much of that's gone back into
3,000?
no, well, I mean most of it. If you're, yeah, I think. Well, especially I think with Toby and Naj, probably not a lot because
Yeah,
they
fair.
take a lot out,
Yeah.
being so good. But
Yeah.
it's funny you say that. Me and Liam always joke.
And
that
Jen's a beast.
Jen is a beast, yeah, and a lot of her. She had 400k USD, whatever that is, 700 AUD, and a lot of that has come from. You know, she had a 100k score there, but a majority of that's come in the last 12 months as well. GPI Female Player of the Year for Australia, which I dare say she'd be winning again
Yeah.
this year too. So she'd be very far out in front
Man,
there.
I've wanted her to win that heads-up match so bad, but her card distribution was just unfair.
Yeah, it actually was unfair. Like, you know, a player as good as Naj uses these really big sizes all the time, and if you just aren't getting good cards, there's nothing you can do against. There's nothing you can do against Naj. And you know, I remember Jen took a stand with King
King
6 off,
six,
King
yeah,
6,
and he had 10.
and he just had it right. So every time Jen went to go for it,
Got a
she just
side
ran
bet
into
going
the
on?
top of Naj's range. So
Okay.
you did mention at the very, very beginning when
black.
we started broadcasting that you're very passionate about women in poker, and you've incorporated that into your clothing brand. Played the
I wanna see
Empress last
$100
night.
notes
What do you
being
think
passed
about
across the table.
female-only entry events such as the Empress $250 buy-in? We got 38 runners in the end. Is that something you're really keen to, push forward in the next 6 to 12
Absolutely.
months for APT?
3.5?
Yeah, definitely. And there's always mixed
There is no
feedback
gambling
about
at this
them, right? Like, and historically, some people have definitely had not the best experience, but the last 2 that we've had here have been absolutely amazing, and we've been running a pretty tight ship with them, like a no-nonsense sort of thing, and everyone, it's all to do with how you set the tone, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've just been so happy greeting everyone and making sure that everyone feels really comfortable because, some of the women that are coming to play that game, it's the first game of that size that they've played
Yeah.
for a few women. So you just want to make them feel as comfortable as possible.
I might just interject here as we
Oh,
will have
yeah,
an all-in and
sorry,
call with
yeah.
Ace Queen suited versus Ace King suited, and we are at our 1K 1500 big blind level, so probably working with just north of 30 effective here, and Aurelian
We talked about this.
weighing over his options. Oh, he looks like he's going to put this one in the bin.
He got himself a trophy this week. He won one of the midday madnesses, the
Oh.
first one, I think.
Yeah, okay. Good, really good concept from APT. Tony was a little cheeky there. Back in the day, Crown used to have the Midday Madness, $50 every day. So he's probably taken a bit of inspiration from that. But it's been a really good success. Top 5, 6 pay every day. And Rallian couldn't find the fold there.
Yeah, that's fair
Just
enough.
north of 20. Definitely fair enough to put this one in. And
I'm vibing the ace queen.
are you really? Okay.
I like the heart.
Do you feel at times, a lot of people will think they can feel their bad beat coming or whatever. Do you feel in tune with the deck at times, especially if you're ahead
I was wrong with
in a
this
pot?
one.
You were wrong.
This week I have for sure.
Yeah.
I've had those moments where I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to end well. Your opponent stands up and puts their backpack on. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
that is my
GG.
absolute pet
GG
hate.
for
Yeah.
me.
And that always comes in, doesn't it?
Sometimes, but sometimes it'd be way off, as it just was there.
So
Maybe I'm just biased towards hearts.
before I let you go, I know you want to go and play the grind. You've been very generous with your time. We've been in here an hour already, believe it or not.
That went so fast.
I know. So we will let you go, but I just wanted to touch on. We didn't finish. Talking about a tournament like the Empress and how important it is to get more females into the game.
Yeah.
You talked about setting that tone about being a really good environment. Does that seem something you're keen to take on board? Responsibility you're keen to take on board moving forward? Playing the Empress.
100%. Yeah. I mean, when I was in Sydney, I was doing coaching for free with women, just trying to get more women into the game. I put a post up. In like some local groups, and I had like 130 women message me saying that they wanted to come. So there's so many women out there, they just don't know how to access it or where to start, and it is a really intimidating place. Like walking into a poker room, it can be really, really intimidating. So I think the ladies tournaments are really important because they're the first stop, that sort of foot in the door for a lot of ladies, and that's how they first ever started, was actually in the WSOP. It was all the guys that were in the main event, they started an event for the wives. That's actually how the ladies event started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then some of them also, started to progress and started to play the main event as well. So I think they're really, really cool.
That is, that's awesome to hear something like that. But I think, 39 runners or 38 entries last night is actually, we guaranteed 7.5K. We actually didn't have to put any money into the pool. That came, with, getting just under 40 runners for that. I think that's a really good turnout.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many rebuyers we had, but I think that is a really good turnout. There were a lot of some unfamiliar faces. Like, what opportunity are these ladies going to have to play on stream? It's not going to come up very often, and putting on stream last night, something different as well. But
I was really happy with that, and
yeah.
a couple of the ladies were a little bit nervous about going on there, but nothing a glass of champagne won't sort out.
No, it was a complimentary free glass upon entry.
It was. I'd love that for every tournament.
And
oh, that's so nice.
Graham just chiming in on the chat. He says, like to say a huge thank you to you, Shally, for making his mum's first experience in the ladies event so amazing. I do remember Donna was on the stream. I do remember her. 6 or 6 or 7, I think, from memory. How amazing is that for you to hear?
That is
that you
so
made,
lovely. That's actually made my day.
It would make your
That
day.
has made my day. She was an absolute champ. She 3-bet Jam Jackson to me. I remember that.
How good's that?
Good on her, and I hope that she comes back. That's the important thing, right? Is if that first experience that you have is not good, and I hope that everyone listening to this really is mindful of this. If you've got someone who comes to the table, regardless of gender, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're fumbling and they're making mistakes. Just remember, we were all there at some point, and the experience that you give that person is so important because you want them to come back.
Absolutely, and just from that interaction there, Donna's, probably definitely going to come back.
Go on, Donna.
After that. Well, that really feels like a pretty amazing point to end on. I know you want to go and play the grind, so I can't thank you enough for giving up an hour of your time to come into the booth. You're more than welcome anytime, and I think just from talking to you in the last hour, I hadn't actually met you before you jumped into the booth. APT couldn't have done a better job to get you on board as an ambassador. So I thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
As
you.
I said, you're welcome anytime. And if you want to plug your, do you have an Instagram page or a website for the Variance Poker brand as well? You can give that a plug before you go.
Yeah, it's variance_poker, and I've also got a stand here as well with t-shirts and hoodies and hats for sale too.
Oh, amazing. So if you are around and interested, it does seem like really high quality stuff, and support Shally, who is an ambassador here at APT. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for having me, and
No worries.
good luck to everyone for the rest of the series too.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm good.
See here. We lost one. 7.
As we welcome you back to coverage, what an hour that was. I apologise if you're tuning in to talk about poker hands, because we didn't get any of that in the last hour. Shelley Pooley, APT ambassador, in the booth with us. She's off to play the grind now, but what an amazing ambassador for the game. Don't be afraid to check out variance_poker on Instagram. Yourself a hoodie, t-shirt, jacket, a drink bottle. And Graham, if you are still listening, as Shelley was walking off stream, absolutely made her day that your mum will be coming back, and that Shelley made her day. She made a mention, she was asking for a photo and whatnot, and you know, what a perfect ambassador for poker Shelley Pooley is. She's absolutely stoked with that comment, so she's going to go into the grind a very happy lady. No luck in the Empress last night, and she made mention to us she really doesn't want to get a seat on the feature table. She didn't have much luck last night. Braden Jinx here with you, bringing you probably short stream tonight. We'll be cutting this one off at the end of this level, or maybe the level after, as we did put the link in our comments on Twitch, YouTube and Facebook, variance_poker as well. And we do have a stand here for Shelley, merchandise stand at the front if you're interested in buying some clothes there. Black is my favourite colour to wear, so I'll see if my partner gives that the tick of approval. I might walk out with a hoodie or a shirt by the end of the series, and hoping Shelley gets a bit more luck. But what an amazing hour of poker. Sorry, an amazing hour of streaming that was.
Very quick if you got a jack.
Not afraid to talk about, you know, her past, and probably sounds like she didn't allude to it, but probably sounds like she did it pretty tough over in the south of England. Came over here with $600 in her pocket from a payday loan, and now has $300,000 in Australian AUD in cashes in the last, majority of that coming in the last 18 months. She also has done an interview on Craig Abernathy's Poker Pulse podcast that was aired last week. Go and check that out if you are interested. Be with you here until about probably another level.
Re-raise, 3.5.
Registration's still open here in the grind. Some familiar faces here. I did mention, if you're just tuning in, Michelle with 300k. He is on a steamroll at the moment. He won the mixed game tournament last night, and
Can I get 500,
obviously we're not.
Thank you.
Obviously, Shelley's story is pretty incredible to hear, but obviously not recommending you take that path. She was pretty open and honest about that, but it's pretty raw honesty there from Shelley. You know, deciding 2 years ago to take it up as a profession. Within 6 months, $80,000 jumped in from the mystery bounty, $44,000 cash in the Jackstar. Won the beast here for 16k. and a great ambassador for poker here in Australia and the Australian Poker Tour. As Michelle back on the bike with the Jack 9 off. Yes. Just getting some confirmation that we'll be with you for another hour of play. If you are in the vicinity of the Eatons Sills Centre, you can still register this tournament. 100k guarantee. 100k guarantee, and you can register 2:45 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. And smash that guarantee, absolutely no doubt in the world. Already 105 runners. As we are already at our guarantee. I apologise because we did guarantee 100k. And we're going to absolutely obliterate that. If you used to play the grind years ago and things were really humming post-COVID, bullets are plenty in the grind. I reckon 12's the record, not telling people to turn it into a 10k, but people can play how they like. And Jared Thatcher, one of Australia's best in the booth with me this afternoon, said 6 was his record. Don't think he'll be firing 6 today, but just goes to show you anything can happen in the grinders. Corey raising it up with the King 5 offsuit. You'll see the implied odds poker coaching patch. It's actually the head trainer, or I'm sure what the title would be, maybe CEO of Implied Poker Odds Training. He's already taken out a trophy this week in the Midday Madness, I reckon that was. What about the Midday Madness? Smaller buy-in in the afternoon's been taken out by Nathaniel Hutton and Corey Van Jay. And I did mention it the other day, but Nathaniel Hutton winning the Midday Madness. Third in that event was Larry Cassidy, 40-time Group 1 winning jockey, loves his poker. Just be playing for fun, would have earned a lot of money in his days. And if you don't know who Larry Cassidy is, he was the first person to ever ride Winx, the greatest racehorse of all time. So if you do see Larry Cassidy around in the room, don't be afraid to ask him about how it was like to ride Winx. He also rode Sunline before Greg Childs jumped on there, so rode 2 of the greatest horses ever from Australia, and he's in the room with us tonight. So don't be afraid to say hello to Larry. So Alex finds the 3-bet here out of the big blind with Ace King. Usually an incredibly polar spot. However, Alex did find the 3-bet out of the small blind versus under the gun when we had Shelley in the booth with the 7-6 suited. So Corey's going to peel one off here with the Ace-7. Certainly giving credit for Alex to have some bluffs. He might have got the information that the 6-7 suited was 3-bet from Alex Prop before, so it's going nowhere on that flop, and that'll be the end of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
call.
Thank you for chiming in there, Craig Abernathy. That is actually incredible. You'd think, you know, the lower buy-ins, you wouldn't be seeing these names in there, but 3 of the Midday Madness tournaments have been taken out by Nathaniel Hutton, Corey Van Jay, who's on our table now, and Craig just lets us know Jonathan Levy, who I actually think could potentially be the all-time title earner or title winner. I don't think he's all-time money earner because he doesn't play those 20Ks and whatnot, but I think Jonathan has the most APT titles of all time, and Craig Abernathy just lets me know that Jonathan's taken out yet another APT title today in the Midday Madness, so congratulations, Jonathan. And if you don't know Jonathan or have not come across him, but you are a fan of the Daniel Negreanu's WSOP vlogs, Jonathan actually featured in one of them trying to convince Daniel Negreanu to come over to the APT, and something I remember from that vlog, Jonathan mentioned that there was some tournaments that were self-dealt, and you see the look on Negreanu's face. He couldn't even believe that that was a thing. So I don't think that Daniel Negreanu's played a self-dealt tournament in his entire life. Can't remember what episode that would have been on for Negreanu's vlog, but Jonathan featured heavily on there, and that's got to be close to his 10th title, maybe his 8th title. Has won a main event before as well, I think. Taking down the Midday Madness. Congratulations to you, Jonathan.
Exactly. Oh, thank you, good sir.
So CVJ getting back on the bike here again with Ace King. Braden Jinx, I'll be taking you through to the end of this level. So about 11 o'clock local time, I'd say you've got me for another 40 minutes. We'll cut the stream and we're going to be back for an epic day of poker. We'll start the stream early, and I might come on for commentary from 6 till about 2 to 3 a.m. whenever the grind finishes up. Always goes late into the night on Saturday, so it's going to be a big day for Australian poker streaming here at the APT, and we've already passed our guarantee. I think 2:45 tomorrow is late reg. Maybe someone can correct me, doing some math off the top of my head. I think we've got about 15 bigs if we max late reg the grind tomorrow, so don't be afraid to come down and flick a bullet in. We've already passed our 100k guarantee, and we'll be destroying that one, I dare say. As Michael turns an up and down straight draw, he isn't going anywhere. And you're wanting an ace or a 6, but little does he know his pair is also good. Let's see how Michelle proceeds here. Comes with check. We'll check this behind, and Michael will take down a little decent pot. Do wish Shelley good luck in the grind, but I just want to give her one more plug. Variance poker, very, very difficult to start a business of any type, especially in poker. And that looks like really good quality stuff. Variance_poker on Instagram, and we've got a stall, merchandise stall up here for Shelley as well. So get involved there. As Corey might look to squeeze this one. The King 4 of Diamonds is a hand that's provided us plenty of entertainment. And that does look like a call. You can forget Jen Castle's 4-bet with the King 4 suited, getting 7s and Ace-8 to fall. We had Jared Thatcher in the booth with us talking through that hand, that he had a fleeting suspicion that Jen could have been bluffing there, but just couldn't pull the trigger. And that got through. Just been sent a reel by Craig Abernathy as well. If you want to check out Craig's reels on Australian Poker Schedule, there is a reel with some footage, with some very ordinary commentary by myself on Jen's check back, straight versus straight, which was purely wizardry. So Craig doing a good job there putting out those reels. Go check him out on Australia Poker Schedule on Instagram and Facebook. I just had a look at that. Given I was just gallivanting about whilst that hand was happening in disbelief, I just had a look at Jen's reaction, facial expression for the first time after she saw Liam turn over the Queen Jack. Understandably, incredibly happy with herself, but props to her. Didn't show the hand or anything, knowing that it was going to be on stream 25 minutes later. It's probably one of the greatest checkbacks on televised poker, I dare say. It's a big call, but can't think of many other hands, and I've watched poker relentlessly for years. Never seen anything like that. Maybe Doug Polk's fold with the straight versus Phil Humuth. It's certainly on that type of level. Got to remember too, we're playing for $65,000, and Jen just finds that check. And understandably, spoke to Liam that night. He was in pure and utter disbelief. So go check that out on Australian Poker Schedule. Craig does a really good job with that podcast. Keeping Australian poker fans engaged is really important. So Michael turns a pair, leaving Ray with 2 outs. Got that flush draw to go with it. Won't need it though. So we still are in the registration period here of the grind. How great was it having Shelley there? That was just awesome. An hour of her time, APT ambassador, as Ray, who was an APT main event winner and mini main event winner. I dare say there wouldn't be too many people that have done that, if any. Could probably be the first. mini main and main event winner. We don't have the mini main anymore, so Ray very well may likely be the only person in the history of Australian poker to win the main and the mini main, as Michael will win this one with a turned pair of kings. So I'll be taking you through to the end of this level, and we'll cut the stream. The players will bag up later on tonight. We want to keep the quality here to bring you good quality streaming to you guys at home. Now, we're going to put the stream on early tomorrow, I dare say, whenever we start, but I'll come on about 6 and I'll be with you to the end of the grind as we commentate down to a winner. I hope we don't have a marathon 2-hour heads-up duel like we had today. That was hard work, but Jared Thatcher, very generous with his time, commentated with us for 4 hours, and it's pretty easy to see why Jared is such an amazing player, breaking down hands, basically predicting everything as it happened. There's a few hands in the mix here, 8-9 suited, X5 suited in the ducks. See if we can get some type of action as X5 suited, flop spotted pair and a backdoor flush draw. Michael also flops the pair and backdoor flush draw. Let's see what happens.
Raise 4.5. 4.5. 5 fold.
Bit of interaction here. Ray with ace king. Corey lays down the 10-8 suited. With nines as well. Could have some fireworks here. Let's see what happens. And I tell you what, Queen 9 against these 3 hands is probably as worse as you could ever get it. And he'll be peeling off a flop as we go 4 ways. And we do have a lot of interaction here as Alex, who had less than 2% equity pre-flop against the 3 of these hands, has turned his 2% equity into 22%. Backdoor flush draw for Ray, top pair for Michael. Got a gutter ball as well for Darren with the flush draw, backdoor flush draw too. Let's see what happens here. Could be some fireworks.
8. 1 fold.
Alex, after we peel off the Queen 9 there, pretty hard to fold a flop like this. Ray looks pretty inquisitive here. Ray's got devious intentions here. Let's see what he comes with. Just call. 45k in the middle already. A heart would make things interesting. Or how about a jack for Michael Kalin? Not only is it a jack, it's a jack of hearts, which brings Ray the nut flush draw. Alex, a flush draw to go with his open-ended straight draw. Michael with 3 of a kind. We asked for fireworks pre-flop. We've certainly got it. And Michael comes with check. Oh, goodness. SBR of less than 1. Michael finds the check there on the turn. But he gets the check mark on the river. Looks like it'll be the end of that. Michael's got to pick a size here that he feels he's going to get paid on. It comes with just under quarter pot. Alex double checking. Alex got devious intentions. Player behind, really hard spot to find a bluff. They go into the mark. What about Ray with the ace of hearts? Could he get a little bit frisky? Hard to believe. That a hand, you know, such as ace 9 of hearts or ace 4 of hearts would play this way. It could some of the time, but let's see if Ray wants to put some pressure on Michael Kalin, and he does do it. He moves all in. I had a feeling that was coming. The ace of hearts. Ray has pulled the trigger on Michael Kalin. We asked for fireworks in this hand. We've certainly got it. Michael Kalin's going to be deep into the tank. It's really hard to not call this one off after he decides to check the turn. Only got to be right 30% of the time. And against Ray, you'd think that he's going to be right often enough. Hard to think of what type of flush draws would play this way. As Ray decides the ace of hearts is good enough to fire the trigger here against Michael Kalin on the river. What do we think? Is he going to put this one in? Doesn't look like he's a man about to fold. Oh no, as soon as I said it, he double checks his cards. They go back into the read up. He's trying to talk to Ray. Let's listen in. Deep in the tank is Michael Kalin. Can he find the call? It's so hard to fold a hand like this, especially versus someone as capable as Ray. Especially after he checked the turn. Ray's never going to put Michael on any jack. It's very hard to. And the ace of hearts, enough for Ray Wang to put this one in the face of Michael Kalin, who's deep into the tank here. Getting better than 3 to 1. He's going to put it in, reaching for chips. Michael just trying to figure out which full house or flush would play this way. If he can decipher that Ray would use the ace of hearts blocker to pile in a bluff here, he'll have to put his chips in the middle.
Change the feng shui of the screen. It's not good.
This looks like a man that is about to call, but
Oh, the main playing as well. Yeah, That looks so much better, though. Just change the main and change it.
The main thing that was the whole lot.
Yeah.
Spreads his chips out. This looks like a man that's going to call, I reckon. There it is. It goes in the middle, and he stands up like he's about to be out of the tournament. He's going to have to sit back down, Michael. You caught the bluff. You're not going anywhere. As Ray puts on the maximum amount of pressure possible. Geez, I haven't seen that too often. Putting in the call and getting up out of your chair before the opponent turns his cards over.
46. Oh, okay.
Ray nearly got the
Yeah,
fold
that's
there.
right.
Michael just couldn't fold his jack, and does eliminate a lot of the combos of full houses. I'm not sure how many of those get to the river as played if we're Ray, so probably really are representing a flush. Michael deciphering that he's just getting too good of a price
So disgusted by that river.
to be able to fold that one in, and fortunate there for Ray, he pulled the trigger.
Almost got him.
But Michael will double up, working with 100 big blinds now. Now 1K, 1.5K level here. We'll be cutting with you here for probably another 20 minutes until the end of this level. So that hand's anything to go by. I wouldn't be going anywhere if I were you. Michelle working with 200 big blinds. Pretty incredible. As I do apologise, we have gone up to 1K, 2K. So the end of level 8. I'll be with you until then. As CVJ picks up pocket nines. Pretty hard for Michael to lay that one down, I would have thought, in the long run.
How much? 4.5. Four folds. I'm good. Thank you.
Can I have some yellows? Thanks. Thank you.
It's 4.5. 4.5. 1 fold, 2 fold, 3 fold, 4 fold.
Pretty interesting hand here. Most of the time, CVJ would have 8 outs. We know he's got 4. Those folded cards do come into account. But he's open-ended versus Michelle's flop set. We'll see a river. And Corey backdoors nothing, but the flush draw does come in, and the 4 of diamonds is in his hand. The 5 of diamonds in Michelle's hand as well. He decides to check. Could have been a more reasonable bluff if Michelle bet again and Corey decided to raise, but Corey is going to fire one off anyway, and it's going to be met with very bad news, as Michelle will call this off pretty quickly with a set, I dare say. The diamond in his hand helps that decision even more quickly as he decides to call, and Corey will show the bluff versus a flop set of Michelle.
That's going to do it. Looking good.
Four and a half.
110 runners now in the grind with another 3 levels of late reg to go. I'm sorry, I apologise. I mean 2 levels tomorrow. We'll be cutting the stream at the end of this level. You can late reg into the night and till 2:45 p.m. tomorrow. So scratch what I just said. 2:45 if you want to fire a late reg bullet into the grind. 15 bigs, I think, but if anyone's out there that can correct me, please do. I am wrong often. And Alex picks up aces here and we'll get no action. The grind, a flagship tournament here for the APT. I had a lot of really good feedback about just coming back to the roots. We had the TLPT at the Voco Centre, having the Goliath, the grind, the Drakakis Players Championships as well.
Just checking. I went back and forth. I was like, if I live, Ray might shove. Ray might shove.
Do I just shove it
And
into
who could forget the main event?
Sad.
No, I will not shove. Because I don't have a hand.
That is unfortunate. Top of my range, everyone snap folds. Don't you fucking hate it. You get a little excited, you start imagining, I'm going to double my hand, I'm going to double my hand. I'll just a little
It's going to have to be a raise. CVJ looking to squeeze up the King 10. Well, just get through. Just depends how spicy Michelle is feeling. With Michael behind on 140k, could get behind peeling one off here. If it's heads up versus Corey, could be another whole different situation entirely, but he is going to lay it down. Michael doesn't want to fold, but he really doesn't want to let go of those cards as the squeeze for CVJ gets through. And if you're impressed with CVJ's play, don't be afraid
Can I get
to
some ones, please, sir?
search up Implied Odds Poker Coaching on Facebook. Does a good job there, and
Thank you.
his clients are doing well. See his patch.
I'm in there. No problem.
A lot of local poker coaches. Lot to choose from. Even Shelley mentioned she's getting into doing a little bit more coaching for players, especially women coming up from PUD poker tournaments into an event like the Empress we had last night. 38 runners for our $250 buy-in women's only event. Great turnout. Stoked to hear Graham's feedback that Shelley is an incredible ambassador and made his mum feel very welcome at the table. We love to hear that. As Michelle back on the bike again. 340k is diabolical at this stage of the tournament. 170 bigs, math I can't even do, but it's something close. It's closer to 200 than it is 100 as CVJ is going to look to raise up the King 10 again.
I think I'm playing this and the beast.
See how much the dynamic plays into this as Michelle folds the ace. And another squeeze with King 10 gets through for CVJ, as I'll be with you for probably another 15 minutes. The grind stays on, but
I mean,
the
yeah,
stream a
that's one
little
way of looking
early
at it.
tonight
That'll work.
as we'll bring you through to a winner of the grind tomorrow. So we're going to have an action-packed day. We'll finish tomorrow's streaming with a winner of the grind, and we'll be up again early on Sunday afternoon. That is early for a poker player. As we'll bring you the culmination of the series via the main event. Won in this room last year by the great Armin Riazati, who we just saw lose heads up to Cooper Feltham only a few hours ago after an epic heads up duel. What a year Armin Riazati has had, winning the APL and APT main events. Close to $1 million last year. CVJ looking to get back on the bike again. Maybe this would be a good one to just come with call. We've relentlessly three-betted Michelle, and he might get sick of it, decide to fight back and fold us out of our equity and still call other flushes. And in this case, it is possible with Michelle holding the King 8 of spades. So I like this decision here from CVJ, as we have a lot of stuff going on here. Darren with the King Queen, Rob with the sevens. There's plenty going on. What about a 7-high flop with 2 spades for a bit of action? No, Poker Gods did not hear me, as Michelle and Darren both flop top pair. And Darren's going to lead out here. Certainly unconventional, but he's going to play his top pair like he's got top pair, and Michelle's not going to fold just yet. I don't think CVJ can fold either, really. It is a tough spot multi-way, but face 9 shouldn't be going anywhere. Be a great fold if he made it, and he does. CVJ. Here's a great advertisement for Implied Odds Poker Coaching I just brought up. As Darren turns a flush draw with his King Queen, would continue to bet. Oh, no, doesn't. Snap checks behind and backs in to 2 pair. Certainly a roundabout way going.
17,000.
Bet 17. Michelle snap folds the top pair. And a pretty good read on his opponent there. See why he's working with 330 big ones. Chip leader on this table, and I tell you what, he'd be close to chip leader of this tournament in the 1K, 2K blind level. As Jacob and Catherine making a good team here, tagging in and out. Seems like half an hour or 1 hour intervals.
Jacob was pretty quick then, wasn't
And
he?
Catherine will take us through to the end of this level. I'll be here with you till the end as well. You can still register the grind. 110 runners. That guarantee has already been smashed. Right? So come and get amongst it.
She was the dealer just now.
I know, but she's back again.
Oh, okay.
She's had a break. She's reloaded her luck. We're
I'm
good.
changing it up.
All right. I want to have it this time.
Do you have it?
Not this hand.
Not this
Next
hand.
hand I have.
Next hand in the big blind. You wake up top of your range.
I'll wake up. I'll have
4.5.
my range.
One race with 4.5.
Activity part.
Typically, top of your range is what, 8s?
Ace king. King 6 suited.
5.5.
One bet 5.5.
Alex going nowhere here with his flop middle pair. Darren decides to check this one back, and he's going to get rewarded. Getting the check mark here on the river. Ray looking a little glum there in seat 4. Deciding to pull the trigger on that huge bluff versus Michael Kalin, which nearly got through. And you can see why Ray has probably, I'm going to guess, let's guess out loud. I'm going to go 600,000 in total cashes for our Ray Ray. See how close I get.
Three quarters.
So I was kind of right. He didn't have it until
Until you had something.
he had something. That is unfortunate.
Jammed it in.
It was considered.
What did I guess? I can't even remember. 600k,
I have 32.
I guess. 650, but Ray in seed 4 had a little bit of trouble getting the first name, but I
I'm not doing
eventually
it blind.
spelt it right. And I got
I'm not doing
it.
it
562,000 in total cashes in USD. So with the way the dollar's working, he's closing in on $1 million AUD. All jokes aside, probably
So you had
800,
Yeah,
just over
in the
800k
big line.
in
Yeah, you
AUD
did
in
say it.
cashes
Yeah.
for our man in seat 4, Ray Wang. And of course, the majority of that coming through the APL Millions main event, where he took that down for an epic $300,000. I know he went out and bought a Mercedes. He's trying to sell it to me a few months ago. I'm not sure if Ray's looking to still sell that car, but get on to Ray if you are looking for a Merc. I'm not sure if it's still for sale.
Nice, got it.
We've got well over probably 1.5 million USD in total cashes on this table, I dare say. So some high quality poker ahead for the next 5 or so minutes. And might be joining us. Should jump in the comms box tomorrow about 6 o'clock local time to bring you the culmination of the grind.
Three fold. Fold.
So we've got a lot of stuff going on here. A 3-bet pot, and Michelle has woken up with jacks in the big. It looks like that's a cold call. Interesting spot. We don't deal with too many cold call spots on stream. Had one today with Cooper Felton with the 8s, if you do remember. But this hand might be taking us into the break, and it could be fireworks as the jacks, king, queen, and ace-8 go 3 ways to a flop. It's about as good as jacks as you're going to get 3 ways. So we might check through. Let's see what Rob chooses to do, though. Let's check this one behind. As Michelle, in this cold call spot, it's going to be pretty face up, but very hard to not find a lead here after this one checks through. And it looks like he might agree. Does check again, though. Wrong as ever. I'm sure Thatcher would have said Michelle would have agreed. Not to find a bet there. Does Corey start taking his stab now? No one's shown any interest. Checks again. And let's see what Rob comes with. Does have a straight draw with his ace. And he's going to check again, as we thought there might have been fireworks, and he does backdoor into that double gutter. That was the front door straight draw. I do apologise, as Michelle lets the ace-8 get there. Very hard. Find it hard hard to not bet the jacks there on the turn, especially after it checks through as Robert now starts to value bet. Probably a little unconventional this one, but we'll see if anyone decides to get a little frisky. As you can see the clock in the background, Michelle's going to call this off. Don't know about this, as he gets shown the bad news. Rather probably lead the flop than call the river. But I'm not here to give expert analysis, just here to take you through the action. I thought Michelle would fire one there, but who's to argue with Michelle? Won a tournament in the last 24 hours, and most of us haven't won tournaments in years. So Michelle taking down the 8-game main event over at Empire last night, backing it up here in the grind today. 9 minutes left of this level, so it was a little bit off on the timing, but you've got us for another 9 minutes before we cut this stream. It's been really good to have everyone tune in. I apologise, no. It's hard to tell how much time left in the level. As already half the field nearly has been eliminated. Feels like a really good late reg spot to come and flick in the grind. 2:45 tomorrow.
I have it.
So we've got Alex twinning in seat 3, the Deck Poker Club. Not sure what that is. If anyone in the chat does know, let us know. Seems like a pretty nice hoodie. As got the APT jacket of Michael Kalin in seat 6. It's one of the old school ones.
Have it every time. Every single time.
Alright, no worries.
Post it.
Post it. Guess his deuces for...
Get back to starting stack. One big blind at a time.
I know, right? Technically two.
Ray looking to chip up. One big blind at a time, he says, and if there's ever been an advertisement for having a chip in a chair, Liam Jehu in the grind at 20k big blind had 25k, one 25k chip left, and within 5 hands or something ridiculous, he had 1.5 million, and that was about 20 off the money. So he turned that 25k into $27,000 as we have a new player joining us on the table. Let's see if he's a familiar face. Not familiar with this fella's work, so find out a bit more about him. It looks like he's just bought in with a start stack.
Straight.
of your contribution in the chat, Craig. I did mention Michelle winning the Mixed Games Academy tournament last night. I think it was the 8 game or the 9 game. Craig tells us that Michelle, that is his 223rd career catch, which is, I mean, beyond extraordinary, really. And it's second all-time for Australia, 15 behind who? So Michelle, in his 223rd career catch, is second all-time for Australia. And who is he second to? Who has the most catches all-time in Australian history? If anyone, I won't answer now. I don't know the answer. I can't even rack my brain this late at night. Who would have the most catches in Australian history? Players like Joe Hasham and whatnot spring to mind, but I don't think Joe really plays enough to get. So 223rd career cash would be, so this player's got 237 career cashes. Have one guess in the chat that it is Billy the Croc. I tell you what, as soon as I saw you say that, I reckon you might be right. Can't think of any others. Mal Judah maybe comes to mind. Does play regularly enough and has been playing a long time. Third in the World Series of Poker main event to Stu Unger in the 90s. He's got to be up there. But if we've got no more guesses, Craig, let's lock in the Croc as the most cashes of all time in Australia. I couldn't really think of many others. Got players like Gary Benson, Mal Judah, but it might well be the Croc. He's been around for a long time, still playing the highest stakes possible as well. Let's lock in the Croc. As some interaction here, both players with a straight draw. Alex does look to be mixing things up quite a lot, and the 10 comes home. Is this a chop pot? I think it might be. It certainly is. And Michelle realises that he's got to turn the cards over to reveal the chop. And being told it's not the Croc. Goodness gracious me. Rightio. I'm completely stumped now. I usually can come up with an answer here. I'm assuming if you're telling me it's not the Croc, Craig, with the all-time most Australian cashes, then it's not the others, I guess, like Mal and Gary. And I don't want to look to ruin it. You know, these guys I'm thinking of, racking my brain, like James Obston, you know, whatnot, probably just don't play enough to obtain 250 something total cashes. If there's anyone else listening that wants to hazard a guess, let me know. But we've got 7 minutes left of this level, so maybe in the last minute or two we'll reveal the answer as I try and get the quiz question right myself. As Billy the Croc is 7th on the list. Oh, I got it! Mal Judah is correct. Sorry, I was lamenting you weren't answering me. Mal Judah is number 1. I was just reeling off names there. I'm not sure if I actually guessed that correctly, but you know, you got to think about Mal playing for such a long time, but he's also continued to play the mid-stakes, you know, a lot of those mixed game tournaments in the last 5 to 10 years. I see him at Crown quite regularly as well. So, Mal Judah is correct, 237. I'm guessing the great Mal Judah, probably best known for... Does Mel want a bracelet, Craig? Let me know. I reckon he might have peeled off a bracelet in some random tournament like the Deuce to 7 low ball or something like that back in the day. Australia, we don't have too many bracelet winners, so it'll be easy to look up. I think Mel might have a bracelet. I know that the leaders in that category for Australian poker are Jeff Lissandro and Michael Adamo. 4 and 5 apiece, I reckon. Mal Judah probably most famous for final tabling the 90-something, maybe 96, 95 World Series main event, which Stu Ungar's incredible comeback was completed. Unfortunately passed away a few years later, but taking out his 3rd World Series main event. If you didn't know, everyone knows that story about Stu Ungar's main event, but if you didn't know, Mal Judah was on that final table, coming 3rd or 4th. I don't have anything in front of me just off the top of my head, but that is probably Mal's most famous moment, as we confirm he is the most cashed tournament player in the history of our country, Mal Judah. So Mel does have 2 bracelets. In the 1989 1500 7-card stud. I wasn't far off with the 2 to 7 low ball. Both of his bracelets coming in 7-card stud. Very interesting. 1989 won the 1500 7-card stud, and 1997 the $5,000 7-card stud for 176k. So Mal Judah, 2 bracelets there for Mel. Billy the Croc 7th in total cashes. Where am I, Craig? Be interested to know how many cashes I've had for the Australian rankings. Not something I would have ever looked at. I'd hazard a guess I'd probably be in the top 100, maybe. Top 50 is probably pushing it, but maybe around that mark. I'd like to know something, little tidbit like that.
If you got anything,
Thanks for
on the river,
contributing in the chat. Pretty incredible. Mal Judah's
5,000?
bracelets came both in 7-card stud. So don't play any 7 home games that contain 7-card starters. We have an all-in confrontation, absolutely no doubt about it. No, Ray comes with call here. Decides to trap the Kings versus Darren. And there's only 2 aces left in the deck. I don't see any of those on the flop. Ray sees this back, he might be a little bit filthy. He decided to trap the Kings. Now he can see Darren's hand, but oh no, goodness me! The ace has peeled off on the turn. Michael had 1 in his hand, and Ray has given himself every chance to get away with this one. Only 2 aces left in the deck, and one of them peels off on the turn. The Jack River. I reckon Darren might be putting Ray in here. SBR is less than 1. No, that looks like 15k. He's going to leave Ray with 4k behind if he calls. This is pretty disgusting, given there was only 2 aces left in the deck. He's not going to like it, and Ray Wang will be left with 4,000 in chips, which is going to be good for 2 big blinds, and he probably should be out of the tournament.
Very sad. I am somehow still in.
Very funny. Ray might, if he spins this 14,
Glad it wasn't a king
if
high
he spins
flop.
this 4K up, he'll save himself $1,250.
Guess it won.
Nope. It was not.
So he for an ace. That means you had 2 outs. Can I ever fold with winner?
Interested to know, Craig, in that top 10 list of Australian cashes, if there's anyone, you know, in the younger, the younger echelon of players. You know, I'm thinking guys like Gary Benson and Rob DeMillion, Michelle, Mel, maybe even Spano. You know, those guys are probably taking up the top 10. I'm just wondering if there's anyone younger that's been able to crack that top 10. Would be really interesting, but that is a question we will save the answer for another day, as we are into our break here at the end of level 8 in the grind. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've been with us from the start, you would have seen Cooper Feltham take down $18,000 in the feature bounty. We're going to turn the stream off tonight. We've got a really, really big day tomorrow. I'll come back into the booth probably late evening to bring you the winner of the grind. And what about Shelley Pooley giving up an hour of her time to be in the booth? An incredible ambassador for the game. But for now, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you tomorrow for the culmination of the grind. See you then.